You're on the Senate Select Committee on Intelligence. What are you learning from federal officials? Do people know what these are? And obviously, I'm not referring to airplanes when I say these.
Correct. So we've had a number of these drone incursions over military bases, over highly confidential, secretive sites, over areas like arsenals, over nuclear sites over the last several years. And we recently had a 2-week drone incursion over Langley. We just had one a week and a half ago over Wright-Patterson. These are important military bases, and we need to have better authorities to be able to take these drones down. It's a concern. We should be treating it like a national security issue, especially when it's over critical infrastructure like bases or nuclear sites.
Do you think the Biden administration is doing enough?
I want to do much more. I'm very concerned that the FAA and the DOJ and Homeland Security aren't doing enough to assess whose drones these are and whether they are adversarial in any way. I think when they say something like, well, we have no evidence that they're foreign operated or adversarial or problematic, they don't have any evidence that it's not.
Right.
So I understand they want people to not be afraid, but they should be as concerned as I am because of these incursions over our bases and sensitive military sites. For 2 weeks, Langley had drone incursions, and it was the type of technology that our radar didn't detect them arriving.
Describe it a little more. I mean, how big, and, you know, when I think of a drone, you think of like the, you know, it's got the four, it's almost like a little helicopter with the 4 rotors. Are these not, do these look different than that?
They look different. They almost look like a U-shaped or a V-shaped. They didn't make a sound. It was, you know, a couple hundred feet above us. They, you just didn't know what you were looking at. It was moving across the sky very quietly, and we kept saying to each other, like Nick and I, like, what are we looking at? Like, are you getting the shot, and what the heck are we filming? There's a couple shots you can see where you can see that it's fixed wing, and it doesn't look like a plane. It almost looks like inverted. It sounds crazy as I say this now, Brian, like that's what you're seeing on the screen. That's what we were seeing right above our heads, and it happened till about 11:30 at night, and then it started to like die off, and I was like, we can stay out here all night, but I went to bed. This is my community. I've never seen these things in the sky over my community before. I went to bed thinking like, this is wild. These things are flying over our homes, over our residences. There's a military Earl, which is a munitions depot just like about a mile and a half behind me. They've reported sightings of these things above, and they said they're ready to take action if they need to. This is, for naysayers out there, like, this is real.
So how many did you see at once, Rich? Was it just the one, or?
Well, no, I think we would see a couple at a time in various parts of the sky over this water. And we'd be like, oh, we didn't get this shot on that one. And they'd be like, well, wait, we'll just wait. You know, I'm sure there'll be another one. And sure enough, like, one started creeping towards us. And it's like, it felt like I was in a bad sci-fi movie, like that it was just, that I was placed in, but it involved my actual hometown. It was very, very surreal.
I mean, to hear you saying this, again, it just sort of hits me in a different way coming from you. Wow. I want to go to Dr. Ramsland now. Dr. Ramsland lives in Pennsylvania. If you ever told me that I would be asking Dr. Ramsland about drones flying near her home, and we usually talk to her about killers, I wasn't expecting this, but they said, Dr. Ramsland's seeing the drones. What did you see?
A similar experience tonight, actually. It started last night. We were hearing about them in New Jersey, and suddenly we're in eastern Pennsylvania. It's as if they migrated over. I called a couple of friends, and we were texting each other as we were all of us seeing them in different areas. And the one tonight, I saw one going west. It was red blinking lights like this one. Another one was coming toward it from the west going east. And then the westward one suddenly turned around and went into formation with the one going east, turned green, the lights turned green, and then yellow. And it looked very much like what we're seeing here in these pictures.
Have you ever seen anything like it, Dr. Ramsland, and are you sure it wasn't a plane?
it couldn't possibly be a plane. It was flying low. It was within half a mile of me. There's no plane path at that point, and it didn't act like a plane. A plane can't turn that fast, and it also had oddly spiral kinds of movements that you just don't see with a plane.
And so it was
And there
last
was no
night.
noise. Again, no noise. Yeah,
No
exactly.
noise. So last night and again tonight,
Yes.
same look of drone. I mean, did it look the same?
I could see them more clearly tonight, and I think it's because it is a very clear night. I saw them really distinctly, and there were more of them tonight, according to my two friends again got out, and we all could see more tonight.
Wow. Okay, so Dr. Ramsland is in Pennsylvania, Rich is in New Jersey. Scott, you are in Tennessee, so you're in a different area where we haven't heard as much about this. Tell us about your sighting.
Yeah, mine's different than your all's. Mine's a lot different. Mine don't look like what you're showing there at all. These things are round. The ones that I saw were round. And they've got this ring around them. And around the ring, it's got little lights on it, and the light is spinning. And on the video that I sent you guys, you can see that at first before I zoom in on it. Because when I zoom in, it gets all blurry, and it looks like it's changing shapes, but it really isn't. But if you look really closely, you'll see how there's a thing spinning around it. And so I don't know mine didn't look like a plane at all. And I saw like 30 of them all together. Yeah, that thing right there was the first one. I believe that was the first one. And when it scooches in, you can sort of see that? You can sort of see there's something spinning around it.
Yep. Yeah,
but it's hooked to it. It's like a ring.
It's
that's
so
on
hard at night to video these things. I mean, that's the thing. It's
Yeah.
like no matter, it looks so distinctive in person. And then you look at the video, even with our new iPhones, it's just, you can't really capture it. But are you sure it wasn't a plane, Scott? Because sometimes it's hard to tell.
Oh, positive. I think all three of your guests tonight, we're all professional observers. And that's one of the things that we check out. What does it sound like? What does it look like? What is it doing? What does it sound like? And that had no sound at all. And at one point there were five when I after I saw this one, and there were three up in the by themselves, and there were two ahead of it that came past those. And then as they went on, the other three started following that one. Then they split up, and then I got video of where there's one there in different sections of the front yard and the backyard. You could see them through the trees, but these were completely different than what you guys were seeing.
With video and phones and social media, you can't just say, oh, nothing to see here anymore. The government can't really get away with that anymore. I mean, clearly everybody's seeing it. What goes through your mind when you were looking up even tonight? Do you think it's a military exercise? Like, what's your gut telling you?
I'm frustrated with the government response because you can't say we don't know what it is and also say it's not a threat.
Yeah.
Because if you don't know what it is, you don't know that. And who knows if it's a future threat? They might be gathering intel that will come back on us eventually. And it could be a matter of national security. Why can't they act on that alone? That's potentially, it is a threat. And just rope one of those things in, take a net up there and a helicopter or something. They're not that far away from us. They're not way up in the sky. They can fly pretty low quite often.
Rich, you've been reporting on this for a couple of days. What do you make of the Homeland Security response that essentially the people are misidentifying these objects, that most of the time it's planes? And the Homeland Security Secretary was actually on TV tonight saying, they keep saying there's no threat to the public. I mean, you've seen them for yourself. You don't seem satisfied with that response.
All due respect, Brian, to the security advisor, it's tone deaf, it's insulting